Our first presenter is Marcello Bernard, who is also known as Marcy Menicotti. She is a tenured faculty member, associate chair of the radio department at Columbia College. And she's put together a book and a kind of media package called Pro Patria, the story of an American who fought for Italy in World War I. And this is the first time I've really met Marcella, and I'm wondering where she's been all of our lives. And I'm pleased to hear about that we're going to all share the information that Marcella has about her new book, Pro Patria.
Thank you so much. I'm going to start with about a 12-minute video that was prepared when I presented this as an idea for my sabbatical. This is my actual uncle's diary, my father's oldest brother. He was born in Italy, raised in Chicago, and joined the Italian army, was choosing to fight for Italy. Pro Patria is the quote from Horace. It's a part of the quote, Dulce et decorum est, pro patria mori. It is right and fitting to die for your country. But what was his country? Was it America or was it Italy? He was always coming home. Anyway, I'm going to share the screen right now with that video that was prepared a few years ago.
The quest, la ricerca. My father spoke of his brother often. The whole family did. They all remembered him. But they're all gone now, except Aunt Bernadine, and she reminisces about her brother Bernard.
And I remember when he passed away, it was hard for everybody in the family because he was the first one to pass away in the Bernardini family.
My father brought his brother's diary to me. He said it was too important to the family, to historians, to someone, to just leave in a drawer with rotting rubber bands and rusty paper clips. Il mio zio, Bernardino Bernardini, era nato in Firenze, Italia. My uncle, Bernard Bernardini, was born in Florence, Italy, the firstborn son of Michele Bernardini and Mariana Bazzini, both solidly, well-educated, middle class.
Me not speak a good English, I no can understand.
They came to Chicago in 1901, during the influx of a great many Italian Americans. But they were different. First of all, my grandfather came as the art director for De Prato Statuary in Chicago and New York. Secondly, they came from northern Italy and were not emigrating to America for reasons of famine or deprivation. Thirdly, they came to Chicago to stay. Bernard was 6 years old when they came, and his brother Mario 3. It wasn't until 1903 that my father, Raffaele, was born. 3 sisters soon followed. They worked hard and very soon moved from the Little Italy neighborhood and to the northwest side of Chicago, where the children attended American schools and only spoke Italian at home.
Are you sincere? If you're sincere, I let you call me your dearie.
In 1911, Michele and his son Bernard took a trip to Italy. It was there that Bernard met Elisa. They began a friendly correspondence. The family moved from Chicago to Milwaukee for a while as Michele was working on some commissions there. Bernard was employed as a draftsman. When Italy joined the war on the side of the Allies in May of 1915, the German Bund was extremely strong in Milwaukee, and Bernard was infuriated at the way they spoke about Italians. Well, his father fueled the fire with plenty of patriotic Italian sentiment. Bernard begged and pleaded to be able to go and fight for Italy. His mother cried constantly, but finally relented, and on July 20th, 1915, he left for Italy. When he swore an oath to serve the Italian king, he unknowingly relinquished his American citizenship. Yet he was anxious to get back to Italy. He was anxious to see Elisa again. He was sure he would be back home in a year, or maybe 2. It was 4 years, 4 months, and 14 days before Bernard would return to America. The journey he and Ernest Hemingway embarked upon may have been for love, adventure, patriotism, danger, or maybe all of those. Ernest Hemingway left behind a novel. Bernard Bernardini left behind a narrative of his experiences, and a brother would not let it be lost. So my quest became to find out what motivated my uncle, to explore my uncle's dilemma, what patriotism means to someone born in one place, but feeling life-sacrificing loyalty toward another, to examine the strength of long-distance romance, explore the meaning of brotherhood, fellowship, and survival in the cruelest of settings, and to bring a factual first-person diary to life. I must honor my uncle's diary for paternity, patriotism, and posterity. Boarding a train at Chicago's Northwestern Station, Bernard was eventually joined by thousands of young Italian men going to serve their military duty and perhaps see their families again. Bernard's status and cash from his father enabled him to travel in second class on the Santa Ana, an uneventful trip except for the discovery of a German spy with 30 pounds of dynamite getting ready to blow up the ship. Germany was very actively sinking merchant and troop-carrying ships with their submarines. Back in Italy, Bernard reconnected with the family in Fort Lee, where he joined the 11th Battalion, which was a replacement battalion deployed to the front as needed. October 22nd, 1915, he arrived at the trenches. Shortly thereafter, he was wounded. His fiancée, Elisa, got him transferred to a hospital near her. Many months later, back in the trenches, he would read her letter of goodbye. For the next few years, he traveled on trains to and from the front, including 6 battles at the Isonzo, until that fateful day when he and 250 of his compatriots were captured by 6 Germans with machine guns. As prisoners of the Germans, they had to strip all the buildings left behind, not only of food, but furniture, windows, doors. Everything was loaded onto trains and sent back to Germany. They also had to pick up all the pieces of munitions, cannons, guns, bullets. They were also sent back to Germany. They survived robbery, beatings, starvation, freezing temperatures, and humiliation. When the Germans were called to the Western Front, the Austrians took care of the war prisoners, putting them in camps, Breitensee, Heinrichsgrün, Sigmund Cherbourg, and it was there that Bernard, going down to 83 pounds, managed to survive with the help of friends until the armistice. When the armistice finally came, the Austrians put the Italian prisoners on trains to the border, but the Italian government did not have the trains or manpower to absorb the detainees, so they were forced to walk hundreds of miles to their homes. Discharge was not automatic. The economy was fragile, and labor in short supply. So the Austrian, Hungarian, Russian, and Serbian prisoners were kept in Italy to work on the farms. The Italian officers, like Sergeant Bernardini, became wardens of these large farm estates. Bernard was in charge of a large estate at Lupinari, a smaller estate at Luogomano, and a beautiful estate at Sant'Amato. At Luogomano, he met Giuseppina Papanti. Her father was the overseer there, and he relinquished her hand in marriage to Bernard. They were married as soon as his discharge came through, and they traveled to Naples and then to America. Getting the facts 94 years later. I wanted to go to Italy for many reasons. I wanted to talk to the people who kept the archives alive. I wanted to interview the director of the Museo della Grande Guerra at Rovereto. I wanted to talk to someone in Cobarid or Caporetto, a scene of great Italian defeat but eventual victory. I wanted to see the Isonzo River that they crossed and recrossed so many times. I felt drawn to the streams like the Udrico, where Bernard pulled out the cannons and picked up the bullets and leftover weaponry that were returned to Germany. I felt drawn to the forests where the deserters were shot, sometimes in the back, leaving their families with 7 generations of disrepute. I put my feet into the Adriatic, where he swam each morning during training, and remembered the pavilions and dances of his youth. I visited Figline, where Bernard lived as a child, and saw the cascade where the children would play and bathe. We visited relatives, because Bernard visited relatives and enjoyed, in that Italian way, the conversation that weaves in and around and repeats and reinforces and makes a family story become a family tradition. Like a pack rat, I gathered memories and photographs, interviews, sound bites, impressions, feelings, meals, and more to try to wrap myself around Bernard's adventure. Bernard came home subdued, gentle, more fragile, but with an enduring charisma surrounding his war experience. His brother made him write it all down, using his journals and diaries. In 1931, my father drove Bernard to the Mayo Clinic for a diagnosis. It was stomach cancer. A few months later, he died, leaving a wife and 2 sons, and a diary of World War I that is unique. It is my honor to develop my uncle's diary into the novel Pro Patria, the story of an American who fought for Italy in World War I.
Minutes, but I'm willing to answer any questions you have. It's a big book. It's 760 pages, and it's an armchair read where you're with him every day, every week, as he goes through the war. He's like an embedded journalist, an American who literally fought for Italy. Questions? Oh, here's one. Yes, he did become an American citizen again. After he came back, Matter of fact, very soon after he came back, the month following he came back with his wife, he applied for citizenship, for naturalization, and got his citizenship back. Great, thank you. Thank you. He was an interesting person, and he met a lot of interesting people. He spoke and wrote Italian, but he was always insecure about the promotions they would offer him because he felt he couldn't speak the kind of elevated Italian that was needed to write reports. So sergeant was the largest rank he attained. There's any other questions here?
There's one more question.
Okay.
Was there any conflict between him and other Italian immigrants because he was from northern Italy?
They lived in Little Italy in Chicago, Taylor Street, for about 6 or 8 months. But his father, being a sculptor, kept a lot of animals that he used to sculpt from life. And they moved to way northwest. And so they had very few Italian friends. As a matter of fact, other than Bernard and my father marrying Italians, the other brothers and sisters all they assimilated very quickly. But I don't feel that there were any issues between him and anyone. They loved America because it was this ability to be whatever status you chose to be and to be proud of whoever you were. He took a lot of flack during the war for being Italian because he was working at that time in Milwaukee, which was a very German city, and so they made him the enemy. But I really feel in writing this, he was looking for that girlfriend because his family, he was the oldest, primo, and they were expecting him to marry a lovely Italian girl, and he couldn't find one in Chicago. So he went back to this girl he met when he was a teenager. And he thought, it's like this way I get to be an Italian and I get to find a nice Italian girl to bring home to mama.
Not sure if you see this question. It asks, was he actually married twice with both wives?
No, the first young woman, Elisa, who he adored and who helped him a great deal and loved him, was an only child. And her family they finally compromised and said, if you marry and live in France or England, we can come and visit you. But if you go to America, we can't. And he kept saying, but we can help you find work in America if your family comes to America. And finally, the family just said, it can't happen. And so there's a lovely scene in the book where they break the engagement. So he was single, but I don't think he wanted to go home without a wife. And then he found my Aunt Josephine, who lived to be at least 103. My sister is on this call, she can tell me, or at least 101 or 2. She lived a lot longer, but he married Josephine, just married the once. Let's see. Great. Yes, I sent the book to I mailed the book to several of the people that I talked to in Italy and some of my family members, but it's written in English. It's not been translated. It would be, the parts that I wrote in Italian were handled by translators here to make sure that they were good Italian. But I didn't want to do too much. I didn't want to make the reader, if it was not an Italian speaking reader, look up too much. But the whole book has not been translated, no.
I think that completes our questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.